Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Boyos Discuss, the podcast where we pick a topic and then shoot the shit about it for a while. This week we're talking about episode 4 of the Kenobi show on Disney+. I'm Matthew, and I'm joined by my co-host Ben. How's it going?
Today I actually have just a very, very mild sore throat, so if I clear my throat a little too much, I apologize, but
it's all good.
Pretty good besides that.
Yeah. So there are going to be spoilers for this episode of the show, as well as the first 3 episodes, so this is your spoiler warning. Don't get pissed if we, talk about what happens, because that's kind of the point of the show. But with that out of the way, I'm going to kick things over to Ben so he can do the synopsis.
All right, so the episode starts with kind of like a hazy waking up feeling to it. Obi-Wan's all breathing heavily. He's still fucked up from when Vader dragged him through the fire, and everything's hazy. He hears voices and he hears breath over the whole thing, and then you kind of figure out that he's on a ship and Tala's there and talking to him, and then it keeps going at this haziness, and they're on a planet, and they put him on a stretcher, and they're like, get him to the bacta tank, he needs to soak, and so they throw him in the big soap dispenser, and he's floating around. Obi-Wan, he's looking a little crispy. He's got his right side. It's pretty fucking burned. I'm not gonna lie.
They didn't really show that in the last one. It's
no,
his clothes are a little burnt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, he's fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then the scene starts cutting back and forth. Obi-Wan's in the back of the tank. Then it starts showing Darth Vader. Anakin in the tank without any of his armor on, and they keep going back and forth between that image. And it's like, you get it? You see? And it's like, yes, thank you.
I was shocked that they because thinking back to Book of Boba Fett, every time he was in a bacta tank, it was like, okay, we're gonna have a flashback now.
Yeah, right.
And I thought for sure we were gonna get that. Okay.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I could totally see that. Damn, there's got to be a flashback episode. It's got to be one of these next two is going to be a flashback, either with third sister.
So. Yeah, if you have live action Hayden Christensen, I'd have to think
definitely. Yeah. So I think that's coming, but yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't get that here. Now that you mention it, but anyway, he's in the back of the tank. He's having visions and hearing quotes from the last episode, the battle they had. Vader just being like, "You stinky doo-doo brain."
Yeah.
You are terrible. You suck at fighting, and you're worthless. And he's like, me. He's in the tank, bobbing around, and then he starts getting all aggressive, and he pops out of the tank, and they're like, "What are you doing? Get back in there!"
Oh shit, you're not healed.
And he's like, "Where? And Tala's like, "You're on Jabeam." And it's like, okay. Why do we keep making up planets? I feel like there's enough planets.
Jabeam is something in I feel like it's something that existed in the expanded universe. So it's a reference. I could be wrong, and feel free to no one who's listening comment
Jabeam. It's just stupid.
If it's real or not.
So they're on Jabeam, and then Obi-Wan's like, "Where's Leia?" And then it instantly cuts scenes, which first of all, I kind of was expecting him to be like, "Oh my god, I'm safe. Leia's safe. Thank God," instead of just immediately like, "Where's Leia? I don't see her."
Something's up, yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted that kind of scene for Obi-Wan to be like, "Well, at least it's over," and then I wanted Tala to be like, "Actually,
yeah, it's even worse."
Yeah, so he's immediately like, "Where's Leia?" And it cuts immediately to the Inquisitor base in the water world, and then so you see an exterior shot of that, and then it goes to Leia in an interrogation room.
It's any time they have a scene with a good cop, bad cop sort of thing, and a little room there.
Yeah.
They got the table.
The one-way mirror.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it totally feels like a cop movie. And so but it's a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So she's sitting there with her little arms on the table, and the third sister comes in, and she's like, "We got you, dummy." And she's like, "I'm Princess of Alderaan, you can't do this." And she's like, "The bitch, what am I doing then? Idiot, here you are, you suck." And she's like, and so Leia's like, "Well, my father, Obi-Wan, will save me." And third sister's like, "You dumb, Obi-Wan's dead."
Yeah.
Leia's like, shook. She's like, "What?"
Yeah.
So she thinks Obi-Wan's dead. Next scene, Obi-Wan's out and about, got his clothes back on. They go out in the hangar of the base that they're in. It's kind of like underground. They go to this hangar, and there's
Well,
this
they
guy.
give him new clothes that look even more like Jedi robes.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I was like, that's weird. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
It's a weird choice.
I know.
Like, if you're the underground Jedi Railroad, I don't think that, that's maybe the way to do it.
They're really bad at it. They're just as bad at being good as the bad guys are at being bad. It's just like both sides are incompetent.
Yeah. We'll get more of that later, but yeah.
So they put Obi-Wan back in his robes. They go to this hangar. There's this guy. He's a cool looking guy. He's got this big beard, and his name is Roken. And I was like, Roku? No, it's Roken. And so he's like, hey, you, help us. We got to get Leia. We got to get this girl with this little girl. And Roku's like, are you fucking high?
He's like, that's not what this is. Like,
he's like, we're 3 people.
Yeah. One, like, I sort of like the, I don't know if you want to call it, like, parallels or, like, similar storytelling where, like, he tells this story about his wife. He's like, we are not fighting the Empire. Like, they fucking killed my wife. Like,
well, it starts when Obi-Wan's like,
you should...
I know the Empire.
Yeah.
And I know what they can do. And the guy's like, oh, do you? I do too. My wife was taken from me.
Yeah. And that just reminded me of Cassian Andor in Rogue One, where, like, Jin says some shit, and he's like, I've been in this fight since I was fucking 9. Like, you don't know shit. Like, you just chose to be involved in this when it was convenient for you. Like,
shoot down the mansplainers. Like, bitch, you think you know shit. You don't know nothing. So Roku's like, my wife, she gone.
Yeah.
And you should feel bad now. And Obi-Wan's like,
he's like, oh.
But then he immediately is like, all right, I'll help you. So it's like, he just kind of told that story and was like, yeah, all right, you rascal. I just can't say no to you. So he agrees to help.
Would you say no to Ewan McGregor?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, there you go.
For anything. Hit me up, Ewan. So next scene, they're having a briefing in this little base about the Fortress Inquisitorius, and it's
such a cool name. I love it.
Yeah, is it?
I think it's awesome.
It's like, oh, what do we name the Inquisitor Fortress? How about Fortress Inquisitorius? All right, cool.
I think it's neat.
So they're having the briefing, and it's like the 3D. It's a classic Star Wars briefing that you've seen 10 times in these movies, where it's like, here's the hologram, here's our mission, how are we going to do this? So here's how it breaks down. The fortress is on the moon. Is it the planet Nur's moon, or is the moon named Nur?
They do this shit all
like
the
Endor,
time in Star Wars, where they're like, is it the Forest Moon of Endor? Like, that's the name?
Like, that's not Endor?
Yeah. It's
right. So either way, they're like, this is Nur.
Yeah.
Which is
it's a water planet near Mustafar, which is a lava planet.
Right. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's all the water got sucked away. But yeah, it's in the Mustafar system, so it's its own fucking system. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And he's like, that means Vader is close. That's his system.
It's weird that they know that.
I agree.
It's also weird that they know, that there's like the Fortress Inquisitorius, and that, like, I don't know if they explained that Leia's there. I don't remember if they did that. Like, how do they figure that out?
Wait. Yeah.
It's weird.
You're completely right.
Yeah.
God damn it. I just completely overlooked that.
And they may have, like, a throwaway line. I just don't remember.
No, I mean, I just rewatched it. It's like...
Yeah.
They just
Unless
do that.
like... Because the other thing is, like, how do they know that Leia got taken by the third sister? Because then maybe you could say, oh, the Inquisitors took her. We know that that's where they are. But also, like, I feel like this place should be, like, more of a secret.
You're right. That's fucking lazy.
Yeah. There's 6 episodes for the season.
Yeah, no, but you can, like, if you could be like, we went to go. It's like, before let's say this, before Obi-Wan's like immediately like, where's Leia? He's like, oh, at least Leia's safe. He's like, actually, we found the informant. We're bringing him back, and he's all like critically wounded with lightsaber wounds. And they're like, was that Vader? It's like, well, it couldn't have been. I was with Vader. Must have been an Inquisitor. Shit, they got Leia. Where would the Inquisitors take her? Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You're right. That's just fucking
It's
lazy.
weird, yeah.
All right, so well, they just automatically know, and they're like, Vader's close by. That's his system, and it's like, again, weird that you know that.
Yeah.
I feel like that base, that thing that he has, that fortress, is pretty secret. Along with the Fortress Inquisitorius, I feel like that would be a fucking secret too.
Yeah, because like I'm trying to think of how you get there in Jedi Fallen Order. Like if that's like a thing where they. Cause
You
he's
go back to
chasing down the holocron, right? That has all the names of the force sensitive kids or whatever.
He fights the I forget her name, the Inquisitor villain in that game on the starting planet. And he has that vision.
Yeah.
And then she gets away with the holocron. And he's like, you need to follow her. And then you go to the fortress, so maybe you like track her or something.
Yeah. I need to replay that game, but
maybe they just automatically know, like the show.
Yeah, there you go.
So weird that they know that Vader's close by and everything. Even if that is a system, it's a fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're like, man, this is fucking impossible. First of all, because this is like the base, you know. It's got everything. It's got so many troops. They're on high alert. It's got all these fucking force users. You know, maybe we should try this at night. But it's suicide.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, don't care. Which is a big turnaround from, the beginning of the show. Which is kind of cool to see growth.
Yeah, yeah.
But, so Obi-Wan is like, I'm going. I don't care. And Tala's like, I guess I'll go too. So they're going.
Yeah.
Next scene, you see this Imperial ship flying in. It's like the Inquisitor-style ship flying into Nur. And you're like, oh, we're going to get some more fucking Inquisitors, but no, it's like it's Tala's ship.
Yeah,
they're flying into Waterworld. It's trademarked. And on the ship, Obi-Wan is like practicing the Force, and he's just like barely pulling this little like pencil sharpener. Yeah. I don't know what, and he still can't even get it up.
Yeah,
he's still a limpy boy. And Tala's like, oh well, I forget what exactly she says. She's like, you might be still traumatized from Anakin from training or whatever, but give it time. And it's like, oh, you mean like 10 years, bitch? Like it's been 10 years. Has that not been enough time? Maybe Obi-Wan just fucking. I think that's enough time, guy. That's why I appreciated Jimmy Smits in the first episode where he was like, get over it. Like,
yeah,
it's been 10 years. But anyway, the third sister, it cuts back to her interrogating Leia still, So apparently that's been going on for a minute. And she's like, where is the path? And it's this whole thing, ooh, the path. And that's like the Underground Railroad. And I don't know how Leia would know any more about the path than the third sister knows.
Yeah.
Like they're in the same tunnel. That's where she found her. So
yeah, so we talked about this a bit before we started recording. If you were to just be like, okay, we need a explanation, someone figure out a way to make this work.
Right.
My thing would be, in The Force Awakens, Rey sees the map to Luke Skywalker, once, and then Kylo Ren is like, oh, well, I can use the Force to just fucking pull it out of her brain. Mm-hmm. Because even if she saw it, in her periphery, I can get that information. And so, I don't remember in the previous episode if they had, I don't know, a thing where it's here are the systems that we go to or something. But, that'd just be if you had to find an explanation for why that made sense.
And that's our burden to carry, not the show's,
Yeah.
Which is stupid
it's
and
another
bad.
Weird thing, yeah.
But I really don't think they ever mention anything beyond the tunnel that they have on Mapuzo.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what she's trying to interrogate out of Leia. But Leia's like, I'll never tell you a thing. I'm too cool for school. Third sister, don't you know this?
Well, it's it almost would have been more interesting if Leia doesn't know anything, but the third sister is so hell-bent on it that she's like, no, I'll torture you to death, and even if you don't know anything, I'll at least know for sure, because you'll be dead, and you won't
See, yeah, that would be awesome, and it would go well with
her character,
exactly.
Sort of what we know about her
from the first episode when she's just fucking up villagers. And they're like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, you're right, but and here's the thing: you're taking the two worst actors of the show and putting them in a room together.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, all these scenes they're rough.
They're bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be emotional, and it's just like Leia is one note in her like, I am a princess and a little girl.
That's so hard for like, you can't really get that across as like a child actor. Like, I don't think you could really get the sort of range, I guess, or like, I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly.
No,
but, like,
I understand. Like, there's not a range. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's just a one note thing that I'm a little girl. And then on the other hand, the third sister's one note with like, tell me where the base is. I am bad. You know, it's just, and like, I don't know if you've ever put two single fingers down on a keyboard, just been like, there's those two notes. Did it sound good? No, it didn't. It's just.
When people were like, I feel like it was on social media recently, or there was some interview where people were sort of talking about like, they had an interview maybe with Deborah Chow, saying like, well, why did you sort of decide not to reveal, I guess, the reason for why Reva is doing what she's doing, like why we still haven't seen that yet. And they had some explanation as to why they thought that was like the preferable way to do it. Personally, I think we should have seen that maybe in the second or third episode. That way we had some sort of like backstory and like, oh, this is why she's acting the way she is. Because then that would sort of make scenes like this at least be like, okay, well, she has some motivation that we know of, that's leading her to sort of be this hell-bent on it.
Yeah.
But without that, it's like,
I'm probably going to agree with you. I just want to wait to see how they actually do it before I like really pass judgment on it.
That's the thing, is like we're getting so close to the end that it's like, I don't know, shit or get off the pot. Like,
and I said, like, I think I've said this in other reviews and things, that I hate being right when I think I'm going to be disappointed, you know? And I think I talked about this in the second episode where it's like, I've been underwhelmed so far with those first two episodes. And I was like, but, you know, it might get better, and I won't pass judgment yet. I'm still not going to pass judgment on this show until it's finished. But yeah, it's I don't want to be right. but it's been 4 episodes, and yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, it's just very flat, these scenes in this interrogation room. They're just, it's not
when they
good.
cut back to it so much. That's the other thing.
I know.
Like, I feel like we should have had like one thing there and then one in like the torture area.
I agree
and
so
like
hard.
just call it at that. Like,
I don't know, like, I don't understand why they have to treat us like our attention spans are 3 seconds at a time. Let a scene play out. My God. Like, that gives it, every scene needs to be like a micro story. You know, every scene, this is what you would study in like film schools, like fucking, there's a beginning, there's a rise in action, there's a climax, and there's a resolution, kind of. That's how your scene should play out. Like, if you make a fantastic movie, every scene is its own self-contained thing. And you can see that in amazing movies made by amazing directors, blah, blah, blah. So that could be here. Like, if you just take a scene and let it fucking play out, it's going to have all those natural beats to it.
Yeah.
But when you cut it up and chop it up, it's just like, it's jarring to keep going back and forth. Because now it seems like we're going to have another interrogation scene even later in the episode. And it makes it seem like it's just been going on for so long. You don't have a frame of time on it.
Yeah,
it's
like, almost sort of comical.
Yeah, like the whole episode's been happening.
Yeah.
So it's, it's pretty bad, the interrogation stuff. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, we'll get back to it. Leia, she doesn't know where the path is, or she won't tell her where the path is, even though she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So their ship, Tala and Obi-Wan's ship, starts landing in the fortress, and it's not night. They did not take that advice, which is not a good idea. It's super bright out. They start landing, and there's actually like a pretty cool like gyroscopic camera kind of trick. Like, it's focused on the plane, so when it lands, the plane doesn't look like it's moving. It looks like the base is like moving. It's cool.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. I was like, neat. So Tala gets out. She just starts walking with a purpose through the fortress. She gets to the fucking airport security metal detector.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, take your keys and shoes off. And they're like,
you wearing a belt?
Yeah.
That's gotta come off too.
You got a bomb in your toothpaste? So she gets stopped, and the security officer is like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm supposed to be here. Here's my identification. Who are you? And he's like, I'm the security officer. He's like, well, then I'm above you and you'll address me as sir. And he's like, yes, sir, but what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
And she's like, I have classified information and I need to get through. Are you going to explain to...
Yeah, well, no, like, it's one of those other things. Like, in the previous episode, we had, like, the almost thing where Obi-Wan got caught fucking up and saying Leia.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, a similar thing here where, like, she has to think on her toes, and she's like... Because that guard is like, you're not supposed to be in this sector. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? And
even
she, like, pulls it out of her ass. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, like, I have information for the Grand Inquisitor. Like, if you don't let me go through, he's gonna fucking cut you in half, my guy. And he's like, yeah, you're right.
I like that. I you know, they do it a
It's
lot,
like-
but I always like when they play the Empire's Fear of, like, higher-ups against them.
Yeah.
Like, Vader choking out everybody. It's like, you want to tell Vader no? You know? Fucking
Yeah.
go do this thing. They're like, shit. But I also forgot to mention that as they're planning to go to the fortress, Tala and Obi-Wan, Tala's like, I'll go, and Obi-Wan's like, bitch, is your cover even still intact? And she's like, oh.
Yeah.
So
It's an old code, but it still checks out.
she's got big brass balls, this Tala. She fucking shows up. So she bluffs, says the Grand Inquisitor will be upset, which raises the question that, does anybody know what happened to the Grand Inquisitor? Doesn't sound like it. Or does not sound like it.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a need to know sort of thing.
So that's cool. I like that they're not lazy about that information. So he's like, oh shit, and he lets her through. So she gets through airport security. She gets to this fucking computer station. It's just like a long desk. It looks like a mission
computer
control
lab in fucking high school.
Yes, that's even better than what I was going to say. Computer lab. She sits down with these two people.
They're at the library.
Yeah, two officers right next to her on this long bench. And then she starts fucking stage whispering into her microphone that is not concealed at all.
Yeah.
And she's just like, okay, here's how you can sneak into the base. And it's just like, what? It's... Why wouldn't you just put her in her own room or something if you're going to put her like... Why does she need to... It's just weird. It's
a
like...
strange setup.
It's a very strange setup. So, anyway, we cut from that to Obi-Wan swimming underneath the base.
Yeah.
And it's all underwater, which is just fucking weird how much they ripped off Fallen Order for this whole thing.
Again, that goes back to, like, they're doing stuff that, like, if people aren't video game players, you know, that's something that they're like, well, we want them to at least have that experience, you know, so let's just
That's
use
cool,
that
but
in a
how about the
different
people
medium.
that are the fucking video game players that are like, thanks for refeeding me the experience.
I like it though, because he has the rebreather, and I'm
And
like,
we're the ones.
"Ooh."
We're the ones that we're gonna watch it. Like the people who play the games are definitely the people gonna watch this show.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It just seems like they didn't have a original idea on how to break into the fortress. So they're just like, hey, it's fine. We already did it.
Well, and then that raises the question: if Obi-Wan used this method to get in, and then they use it again in Fallen Order, it's like, do they not
Right.
like learn from what
Right.
happened there?
Maybe have some fucking water seals or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, it does not work at all like it does in Fallen Order with just the stakes and how it happens and things. But I mean, we'll get through it. So he's swimming underneath it, and everybody's got like windows. Like I always see a bunch of windows in this fortress. So it's like they ain't seeing no Obi-Wan swimming up on him. I
It's
guess
the fucking it's the base from The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh yes, you're right.
Yeah, they got to see the fish swimming around.
Too busy watching people get eaten by sharks. Fucking, he's got the rebreather in his mouth from episode 1, and it's like
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's outside the base. He's following directions. You know, he gets in kind of like the underside of it, and it cuts to this trooper standing in front of what I assume to be just the fucking toilet. Like it's just a hole with water.
Yeah.
You know, okay. So Obi-Wan swims up through the fucking sewer, and the trooper like hears a fucking like tink or something. I don't know what. And he's like, oh my god, and immediately goes in there to check it out, and Obi-Wan, you know, fucking karate chops him or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just see the trooper face down in the doo-doo water.
I thought for sure, well, no, like he's not even in. They don't show the trooper in the water. I thought for sure he was gonna wear the armor and do like an homage to like A New Hope.
That
where
would
it's
have been
that would have been
better.
I would have been amused.
It wouldn't have just been Fallen Order. That would have been cool.
Yeah, and then you could have this. It would have been sort of cringe, but also like, sort of a like, oh, like if Obi-Wan, when he's in the stormtrooper armor, he rescues Leia, and she says, "You're a little short to be a
Oh my god, I would fucking...
I would, that would have been funny. Or if she said some other snarky bullshit, like...
Yeah, alright.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you. That's some shit that would be in this show, so... I couldn't be upset at it. I'd just be like, all right, you got me. Yeah, you're right, that would have been better, but whatever. And 100% that soldier was floating in the doo-doo water. I guarantee it. I noticed it and I was like, damn, Obi-Wan. You couldn't put that guy like face up. You gotta fucking make sure he drowns.
Oh, he drowns quite a few people in this.
I know, dude. He does not give a fuck about the sanctity of life of any of these stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So he very stereotypically, like, literally raises up the microphone and he's like, I'm in. It's like, oh my fucking god, is this a 90s movie? Did he just hack into the fucking mainframe? Also, I think it's worth noting. So one of my roommates, he served time in Iraq. He's at an army base, doing nothing. You don't do anything there. But sometimes they'd bring in these fucking people of interest or important people to protect and shit. So he'd be on guard duty at these bases, and he'd be standing there with his rifle and shit. And he was like, he watched that scene with me. He was on the couch and he was like, bro, he's like, you would not check out shit. He's like, when I was in the base, you just heard shit all the time. You heard like the bass creaking and like knocks and shit. And you're just like, that's the bass. It's just what it is. You're not checking all that shit out. And I was like, okay, but these guys are on high alert. They have an important person to protect. He's like, I mean, we kind of, you still, no. Yeah. I was like, I totally believe that. So these stormtroopers are really fucking good at their jobs, apparently. They just really want to check out everything.
Yeah.
I think 99% of the time they're really disappointed that there's nothing. And then the other 1% they get killed.
That's the thing is, like, when they fuck up, they get cut in half. So
right.
It's like, maybe that's motivation to...
They're really good and really bad at their jobs.
Yeah.
So, Obi-Wan hacks into the mainframe, and then we go back to the interrogation room. Third sister is doing the thing where she's probing into Leia's brain, but apparently Leia's just this fucking level 10 power being that is untouchable. And she's like, damn,
she put all of her stats into, like, wisdom.
Right.
Yeah, and can't read her mind, can't do it.
No, and she's like, damn, you're strong. And it's like, what? What fucking 10-year-old has more mental fortitude than an adult? What are you talking about?
Skywalker metachlorians.
This is so stupid. So she's like, damn, your little kid brain's real tough. And then she just kind of like, she finds Leia's robot and like force grabs it and starts holding it and caressing it. And she's like, I had a robot when I had a backstory that you won't see.
We'll get there. Just wait a few episodes.
And it was taken from me like everything. It's like, okay, that's moody.
Yeah.
So, from there, scene ends again. Tala is still giving directions noisily. And finally, a fucking officer walks up on her. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I think he says something like, you're at my desk or something. And it's
he goes like, this isn't your station.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me see some ID. And she's like, oh, yeah, let me show it to you in this broom closet. So I'm assuming that, like,
let's count
she's
the piano
offering
wire.
a little something. She's like, well, I'll show you it, but, do you really need this? What if I,
I don't think that's the vibe
sketchy.
I was getting.
She takes him to a back room. I don't know, man. It's fucking...
It's not even a back
it's
room.
Not.
It's like behind a little divider
it's
wall.
It's a separate cubicle or something.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't...
So the officer's like, show me your ID, and they walk back there. Cuts to Obi-Wan, and he's like sneaking through the hallways, and there's this like seeker droid that looks like a sleeker probe droid.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I want Empire, like, I want shit to not look more advanced than it is in the original trilogy.
Like, my thing is, like, the probe droids, they're bigger because they're like, oh, you're using it to look at an entire planet. Whereas, like, these are, like, smaller, sort of like, yeah, it's just, if you needed to keep a building
I guess
secure.
it's just a little too sleek for my Star Wars taste.
Mm.
I like blockiness. I like that 70s blockiness, that sci-fi heaviness. You know, like it's like the RoboCop redesign in the fucking original.
Yeah.
He's just this fucking refrigerator door.
Nah,
and
you're
then
like,
in the new one, he's all like super thin. And
So what you're saying is you want the robot from Logan's Run.
yes, 100%. What's his name? Box.
Box.
Yeah, they weren't even subtle.
Fish, plankton, sea greens.
Give me Box. That's what I demand. But no, they give me 2010 RoboCop. No, this secret droid is real slick, and it's got like a HAL 9000 eye,
Yeah.
and it's looking around and shit. And Obi-Wan's being sneaky. Gets past the secret droid. Cuts back to Tala, and she just fucking WrestleManias this officer down to the ground.
She
Beats him
chokes him out.
Chokes him out, beats him up against the window. You know, knocks him out, and he's just like, ugh, doesn't hide the body or anything. Just walks right back.
She just sort of leaves him there, and there were those two people.
They're still there.
Like, yeah,
They're
I don't
still
know.
there.
It's so weird.
And she goes and sits right back down, and she had left the microphone there when she went to go with the officer. And throughout the whole thing, Obi-Wan's like, Tala,
yeah, we get the
Tala.
classic, like, Luke and them in the compactor with the thing, or R2 in episode 3, where they're like, R2, are you
And
there?
these aren't bad ideas. It's just that, like, why did you have to put her right next to the other people and make this whole thing seem dumb?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. Just put her in her own thing. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So these officers just don't give a fuck or anything. I don't know. So she gets back to her desk, sits right back down, and if I was this guy working in this top secret base, I'd be like, what was that?
Yeah, that's a
Where's
noise
that
like
guy?
that thud. It's like,
Not even the thud. I'd be like, did that get sorted out? Where is he? Like, it's just weird. So she sits
then
back down.
she's like, come back with me
yeah,
here.
no, I'll show you.
You come back. She just
I'll give you the same thing I gave to him,
everyone.
big winky face.
Kills everyone in the base.
Yeah. It's like Sniper Elite.
Like, okay, Obi-Wan, you're good to go now.
It's like any of those stealth games where you fuck up one kill and you're just like, well, I guess I gotta kill
now,
the whole
yeah.
game with my submachine gun.
Yeah.
So, no, so she sits back down and nothing, fucking, whatever. Cuts back. Third sister is still fucking interrogating Leia. And it's like, this episode's more than halfway over now.
Yeah, I think, well, isn't this the point where she's like, alright, this ain't working.
Yes.
Put you in the torture machine
Yes,
now.
it
And
is.
like, they even say something like Leia's like, okay, I'll tell you, but I need to tell my dad first. And Reva's like, okay. And then she's like, oh, you scamp, you almost got me.
Right.
Like, no, we're not
Leia's
gonna.
shedding crocodile tears.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let me tell my dad because we're on the same side, right? And it's just like it's bad acting.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a kid. And I'll accept it from a kid, I guess. Because I don't think I could be tricked by a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah. But, yeah, no. So we're still fucking in this interrogation room. And, like, in the time it took for them to do this, the third sister and Leia, Obi-Wan has gone back to a planet, been recovered in a bacta tank, learned how to infiltrate the base, gotten inside, and has made it almost to Leia.
Yeah.
In this interrogation time frame.
Yes.
If with just the scenes they're cutting, which is what I'm saying, why choose to do that whole broken up thing? It's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
So, like we said, Leia sheds a tear. It's all fake. She's trying to trick the third sister. Third sister's like, you bitch.
Yeah.
I'll make you cry real tears. And then take her away. And we're like, where are they going? Is Dr. Ball coming out? So, Obi-Wan cuts to Obi-Wan. He finds this big, spooky-looking door.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, there's red lights on this. That's never a good thing.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Leia getting strapped to the... Is it the torture device from Empire
It straight
Strikes
up
Back?
looks like it, like that thing that they put Han in, where he's like, ah!
Yeah.
And it's like, it's got these little pokey things going near his face. I don't like it.
Gives him an itchy nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I think it's different.
It looks
subtly,
a little different.
But it's the same vibe.
Yeah, same vibe.
Same vibe. But, Harrison Ford is an actual seasoned actor.
Yeah.
So Leia gets strapped, and she's like, help me, somebody. And these stormtroopers are way too comfortable, like...
They're like, this is just Tuesday.
Getting
like,
a 10-year-old prepped for death torture. But I mean, shit. I guess that goes back to the fucking Nazi vibe, and it's like,
Yeah.
I guess that didn't bother them either.
Yeah.
So she gets strapped to the fucking torture device. Obi-Wan gets through the doors, and what he sees is it's this whole mummy chamber, whole mummification process that the Empire's been doing to all these Force-sensitive people. And this was in Fallen Order, right?
I don't think so.
I feel like it was, but I might be wrong.
I don't see it, and that's the thing, is like I need to replay that.
Right, it's been a minute,
Yeah.
but I really want to say that it is.
I want to say that it wasn't. And that's why it's like this is something
I felt like
new
I knew
that we're
what was
seeing.
going to be there before I saw it. So
I
either
don't-
I'm a
I-
fucking
I
super
bet
genius, or I remembered unconsciously. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. But he sees these mummy chambers, and he goes like, "This is no fortress." He's like, "This is a tomb." And it's super
It's a
dramatic.
cheesy line, but I like it a lot. And like
It sounds like an Indiana Jones line.
yeah. People online pointed out like a lot of the Jedi that they show are like references to like other things, like weird
I
stuff
figured
that
they
I don't
would be,
remember.
but I had no idea what
yeah,
any of them were.
it's such like deep cut stuff that I didn't recognize any of them. So
I did not either.
yeah.
But they're in. It looks like they're in like amber, like that
Yeah.
mosquitoes are trapped in. You know.
Yeah.
So there's all these mummies. Obi-Wan's freaked out, and then it starts cutting back and forth between Leia and Obi-Wan. Like Leia keeps just, and it's just kind of the same thing. Like they're not doing anything different. They're just Obi-Wan's looking at the mummies. Leia's screaming for help, and the torture device is getting closer and shit. And it's like, oh no, tension.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan hears Leia screaming, and he's like, "Oh, Tala, I need a distraction." And she's like, "The fuck? What? What does that mean?" Then, the third sister's got the Sparky Boom Boom device right up next to Leia. And then this officer comes down, and it's like, "Third sister, there's urgent news that needs to be listened to right away." And she's like, "Meh."
Yeah.
Turns off the device, goes away. She goes upstairs. Tala is there already.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was fucking right next to where she was stationed. Whatever. She's there. Third sister comes out. Tala's like, "I have urgent news about the path. I have information because I was a spy."
Yeah.
And third sister's like, ain't adding up.
Yeah.
It ain't adding up, dog. And then
But no, she says some like cheesy line too, like, "I don't know if you're lying to me or for me."
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what?
That's weird. Like, yeah.
Third sister's too aware of the whole situation for my taste, because she doesn't have any really real reason. But anyway, we'll get, because they'll keep talking after the next scene. But so it cuts to Obi-Wan, or not to Obi-Wan, it just cuts to the room Leia's in. The lights go out. I don't know how, but they go out.
Yeah.
And you just see the single light from the lightsaber come up, and
I
it's
fucking
like,
love that.
That was
That's
dope.
so cool. Like,
Looks cool with there's a blue light with the contrast of the red that's left over. Yeah, it looks dope. So it pops up, and he schwacks one of the troopers, turns it off. The other trooper is very calm and collected in this moment, and he's like, "There's no way out." And he's like, who, bitch, you?
yeah.
And so then he gets swacked, because obviously
Yeah.
Obi-Wan opens up the fucking machine. He frees Leia, and Leia's like, "I knew you were alive."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so sweet. Cuts back to third sister, and she's going like, "I know that there's a spy among us."
Yeah.
It's like, Amogus. Fucking, she goes, "Tala, you're just sussy baka." You're looking a little sus there. Tala is like, "No shit, I'm a fucking spy." Like, yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah.
I was a spy, and I helped shit to learn information, because that's what undercover spies do, you fucking tard.
Yeah.
And she goes like, "The path is going to Florum," and I don't know if that's a planet ever referenced.
That is a planet I think they've gone to in Clone Wars. I feel like that's...
Sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah.
She goes, "On Florum."
Yeah.
And so then it cuts to another scene where Obi-Wan's running through with Leia. The Seeker bot sees them, and it starts blaring the alarm.
Yeah.
Third sister is like, still fucking like,
I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's interesting that Obi-Wan still got off the planet you were in charge of, which is like, damn, was Tala that high up? She's in charge of the fucking planet?
Yeah.
Third sister already knows all this and everything. Like, she just
I think it may
has
be
plot
like...
armor with her fucking knowledge.
I think it might be like it was such a small planet, or like it had such a small presence that it's like, yeah, you were like the highest one. There was like you and 10 other stormtroopers, and that was it. You know,
it's too much. I think fucking the third sister has way too much knowledge of what's been going on in the show. Like, how would she know Obi-Wan even fucking escaped the planet? First of all, how would she know?
I mean, I think the idea is like Vader was like, oh, he got away.
But he just got dragged to a different spot.
Nah, the loader robot took him away.
It bugs me.
They couldn't chase him. They couldn't.
I got all poopy.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I'll
There's too much sand here.
Well, like, I don't know. People have sort of said that, like, he was, like, disappointed by the fight. And he's like, well, you know, if I let you go with the idea that, like, you'll get your shit together and we can have, like, an actual trademark.
Yeah. I guess. But this is what I'm saying. They're putting the burden of explanation on the fucking audience.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think Reva has way too much fucking knowledge, and it bugs me. But anyway, the alarm goes off while the third sister's being like, this ain't adding up. So she's like, oh, the alarm, and has to leave to go chase after Leia, who's gone now. And after she leaves, Tala just fucking schwacks the other stormtroopers that are guarding her.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to Obi-Wan doing some fucking saber work on these goons, just fucking carving them up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Third sister's coming. Cuts and shows her with a big battalion just walking down the hall all angrily.
Yeah.
So then Obi-Wan's still fighting goons, you know. He's in this like water hallway, like in BioShock, you know.
Yeah.
Not completely, you know, there's still like covered floor and stuff, but the windows are to the water, so they're underwater.
Yeah.
He's blocking bolts and shit, and one of them deflects into a window, and it cracks it. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, you know, then this battalion of soldiers comes up, and it looks like the one that the third sister was just leading, but she's not there.
Yeah.
So that was weird, because there's this, like, fancy-looking black one.
That's one of the, so that's the redesigned, Purge Trooper.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I got really excited when they first showed it. I'm like, oh shit, the Purge Troopers, like from Fallen Order. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see how Obi-Wan fights it. And it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it's there, but you know, whatever. And it's there when the third sister's walking down the hall, and it's there in this scene with Obi-Wan, but in between that third sister's gone.
Yeah.
So that's weird. Anyway, this battalion of soldiers comes up, you know. Obi-Wan's like, shit, and he blocks their blast into, like, the door controls, and it shuts the doors in the hallway. And then he sends Leia behind him, and he starts using the Force on the window because it keeps breaking more and more. He's like, shit, and he's holding it together. Tala shows up, and she's like, oh, okay, I'm here, Leia, come on. Obi-Wan's holding the window, the troops force open the door, and Obi-Wan's like, aha, and he fucking lets the window go, but directs the water at the soldiers and, like, runs away.
Yeah.
And they shut the doors behind him. And then in the windows of those doors, you just see the fucking corpses of these drowned men floating around.
Yeah.
It's from explosive decompression. So, yeah, it's pretty gnarly. So from there, we go to a fucking stupid-ass fucking visual of, they're in the hangar bay now. Tala's walking, and Obi-Wan's next to her. He's in disguise. He's got his officer hat on, and he's wearing this big fucking raincoat with Leia underneath it, bulging out.
And that, like, it reminded me of, do you remember in Solo, there's the forearm alien guy who, like, he has a similar disguise when they're on that, like, war planet in the beginning of the movie, where he, like, proportionally does not look correct. Like, his arms are, like, weirdly low, and it's like, and no one was like, that ain't right.
It's like two dudes stacked on a trench coat. It's like that fucking BoJack gag where it's like, I'm a grown man, I work at the business factory, and it's like, and nobody recognizes that it's just people stacked in trench coats. It's like that. It's like, what the fuck? You're on high alert, and there are so many fucking soldiers and everyone running past them.
Yeah.
And they're going the other way, which is already suspicious. Obi-Wan's got a big fucking fat beard that nobody else in the Empire has.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
He's got this big trench coat with Leia
under. Bulge, like it's...
The bulge in her feet, obviously, there. It's so stupid. It's so goofy, and it's like, man, if it was absolute pandemonium, if this wasn't supposed to be a military base, I could see it.
Yeah.
Where there's like crowds surging and you just blend in with the women and children and the hysterical people. But this is a fucking military base. Do you you really think that's the fucking... God, whatever. It's just fucking Star Wars logic, and it's annoying. And it's just like, dude, that is so stupid.
Yeah.
So that's the best they could come up with. They're walking to the hangar. No one's recognizing them. Fucking the other two Inquisitors, Fifth Brother and the Noodlehead.
They walk right past
them. Yeah, like you literally see them in the background, and they're like, what's going on? And they just walk right past them. They're not locking down the ships or anything.
Well, because they were more intent on, like, finding the third sister and being like, you fucked up again?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
which I understand.
That was their sort of priority in that instance. Yeah.
She fucks it all up. So the Inquisitors walk right past them. Obi-Wan and Tala are like right there. They're getting to their ship, and fucking third sister comes out with the traitor meme line. She goes, "Traitor!"
Yeah.
Like TR-88.
I like it. Yeah.
Fucking it's TR-8R. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Traitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, from episode 7. So third sister yells the line. Everyone stands up and claps, and then a bunch, like literally, they're surrounded by like fucking like 50 soldiers.
Yeah, all the boys.
Reva's got a whole battalion behind her.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're trapped." And then all of a sudden, these fucking the Hoth snow speeders come in.
Yeah, and they said something earlier in the episode.
Are they T-47s? Is that what they are?
Whatever. Sure.
Because they said like we have T-47s.
Yeah, I think that's the designation.
Okay.
Like they set the seeds there, but like I didn't know that's what they were called, and it's like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. So the T-47 snow speeders come in and start just blasting all the soldiers, just fucking nailing them with these shots. And the perspective is really fucking weird because it's behind the ships and they're flying at the battalions.
It is.
But there's a big wall in front of them and it's a narrow hangar.
Yeah.
And the scene cuts as they're like near the end of the wall. So it doesn't show them turning around how they did that or how they maneuvered. It's just like, yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
But they were flying straight at a wall. It's not well done. So they're blasting all these soldiers. And the soldiers are just like, oh shit, what do we do? And they're not doing anything. They're just standing there and like, with this going on, the speeders are shooting up all the soldiers. Obi-Wan and Tala are shooting all the soldiers. Pow, 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 running to the ship, shooting the soldiers. It's high intensity. But all the soldiers are just fucking standing there. They're not shooting.
I think like, and sort of what people have talked about is that this was before like any sort of rebellion was really started. So these are soldiers who are not like, they're fighting people who are essentially defenseless most of the time. So for someone to attack them at a base like that, if you were looking for a reason for them to be so like frazzled, it's like, yeah, well,
burden of proof, Your Honor. Objection. I don't want the burden of proof on the audience.
Like I know, but it's like that's just sort of like. And even, like, they sort of talk about, like, like, these people aren't rebels yet, but they're, like, what could be, like, some of the seeds of rebellion.
Fine. But this is after Fallen Order.
No.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. The show is 10 years later from episode 3, and I thought the game was 5.
Maybe you're right, then. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, and then the other thing to that is, like, the fucking Saw Gerrera rebels were a thing too. So yeah, you're right then. Yeah, yep. That was sort of like their thing when they like, I don't know. It's yeah.
I reject your.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Theory there, sir. I think it's just dumb that they stand there and take it.
Yeah.
But they have to get away because they're the heroes and they have plot armor because we know that they get away. Not Tala, but Obi-Wan. He's not gonna get fucking killed. Obviously.
Yeah, Tala's gonna die.
You think? Yeah. I mean, yeah. So they're just swacking all these soldiers, running, and there's only 2 speeders, and one of them lands, and Obi-Wan, Tala, and Leia pack into the back.
Yeah.
It's gotta be tight.
Yeah.
And they start flying away. Reva's running up on him, but the other speeder just completely focuses on Reva, and then we see another just horrible perspective shot of Reva like she's doing blocking the shots
things, yeah,
which looks kind of goofy, but I'll accept it because it's Star Wars.
Yeah,
but the ship, it's really it looks like someone's just holding the back of it off camera.
Yeah,
it's just like
weird,
holding it there.
Yeah.
It's way too close to Reva, and it's way too like in the foreground.
It doesn't look right. Yeah,
it does not look right at all, and
yeah.
it's just like, what? So it's a really weird scene. But anyway, the fucking speeder is shooting at the third sister. The speeder with Obi-Wan and everyone gets away. The second speeder is like, all right, I'm right behind you, starts flying away.
Yeah.
Reva yeets a fucking explosive box at it.
Well, yeah, because, like, the other Inquisitors are like, fucking do something.
Yeah.
And she throws the box and fucking blows up that guy.
And the pilot of the other one's like, Wade! No! Wade! The most important character! It's
That's
just
the
like,
thing, they
huh?
weren't soldiers. They weren't soldiers,
Who?
Ben. They weren't soldiers.
Fucking, huh? Anyway, Wade, poor fucking guy, gets blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
And then again, the Inquisitors just watch them leave.
Yeah.
They just watch, and above them are rows of TIE fighters.
Like, they had establishing shots, like, earlier in the episode, too. Like, when they first land there, they made sure to show you that there were, like, TIE fighters ready to go.
And they don't do anything. This is supposed to be one of the most equipped bases that the Empire has.
You could have easily just been like, one of the speeders destroys all the TIE fighters when they, like, fly by, and that could have been like, okay, the TIE fighters are gone.
That would take away one element of this whole fucking disaster that I'm about to fucking say. Because, like, so they're upset. So above them are TIE fighters, fucking soldiers all around them. They don't have fucking radar or anything, no tracker. They couldn't tell that these fucking rebel ships were coming up. Vader was supposed to be like 2 feet away. It's his system. And I would definitely assume...
And he's there, like, pretty much immediately after
the next scene is Vader.
Yeah.
So I would assume he had at least, like, a Star Destroyer. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, it just ends there? The escape just started. And they're just like, damn, they got away. And it's so fucking undermining to the like... what the villains are supposed to be and that they're supposed to be threatening. It's undermining to their fucking what's the goddamn word? I don't know. Their level of threat.
Yeah.
I know there's a more eloquent word that I can't think of right now, but it's just fucking stupid, and it bothers me so much. Like, I hate when you make the villains look like absolute fucking goobers.
Well, and that's the thing, like, they sort of jumping a little bit ahead, like, there's a reason why Reva wasn't, like, super worried, or I guess, like, intent, but if that plan had been, like, something that we sort of saw, like, set in motion, and she's like, like, let them basically go, like, oh,
right,
this is, like, gonna be fine, like, I have a plan, but that isn't really, like, shown or told to any of the other, like, leadership.
Said 3 words, fucking that's it. When the you could have the Inquisitors be like, Reva, they got away, what the fuck? And she'd be like, don't pursue them.
Yeah.
And that would build, like, huh?
Like, what's
from
up?
us.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And it would explain this all.
Yeah.
But fucking and like the show starts with Reva being like, Obi-Wan's gonna come after this girl.
Yeah.
So she didn't see this coming. I don't know, man. It's just like, it's so fucking lazy. And I'm disappointed with that, like, severely. But anyway, the next scene, Vader fucking shows up, like, his breathing starts before the scene even cuts.
And you're like, he gonna be mad.
And he fucking mad. Vader's
he walks
pissed.
in and he, like, fucking chokes Reva into the air.
He's about to beat Reva like my daddy beat me. He's coming home. It's like when your mom caught you doing something, she's like, just wait till your dad gets home. And you just sit in your room for an hour like, fuck. It's like, that's the vibe. So he came on in, he just fucking busts the door down, force chokes Reva right up, and he's like, I fucking told you
what would happen if you failed me.
I told you what would happen. And it's like, oh, God. Shit. And she's like getting strangled, and the other Inquisitors are like, yes, yes. And then she goes, I let them leave.
Yeah.
And he's like, huh? So Vader like lets her go a little bit, and she's like, I put a tracker on her. And the other Inquisitors are like, you let them in. And she's like, Kenobi is all that matters. And Vader's like, word.
Yeah.
And
you're all right.
yeah, so Vader's like, I underestimated you. And he's a happy boy, which doesn't really seem like Vader's character, I have to say.
Yeah.
I wanted him to kind of be like, where's the tracker? Oh, thanks. And then kill her anyway, you know. But they have more to do with her, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be good. But we're going to have to see.
Yeah.
But that alone was really cool. Vader meet, you know, stuff for me to snack on there.
Yeah.
It was good.
I realized I just...
What?
I edited the synopsis Ben typed up, and I changed Speeder to the Peter.
The Peter. You know, as it does. The little Peter's around. So the Peter...
Peter.
Yeah, it gets to the Peter, and it's boarding this, like, ship. And it, like, the ship... They're still in fucking orbit on this water planet, by the way.
It's
taking
weird.
their sweet time.
Yeah.
But the ship drops down this little docking, you know, thing, and the speeder gets inside of it. And
the little mouth that opens up.
Right, and it's the not 10 of 4.
Yeah.
The engine placement is very like that.
Yeah.
And it's just not... It doesn't look like it's fully fleshed out. You know, it looks like it still needs to render. But
the textures haven't loaded in yet.
Exactly. They get inside, they see their boy Roku, and he's like, oh my god, where's Wade? And we're like, oh no, Wade. And we press a big ol' F for Wade. We paying our goddamn respects for this man.
Well, and like, they, they say, like, we're not soldiers, and she's like, you are now. Yeah, and it's like,
guess you're soldiers now.
Yeah.
For what? For who? I mean, you saved the girl. Good job. That's it. That's the end. Soldiers for what? You're not. And like, why is it Wade, dude? Why couldn't you have made it Roken?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Well, and I thought it was him. I didn't remember his name.
No, it's this fucking normal guy we haven't seen in any other scene, and they're like, fucking Wade! They spend more time on him than like any other character death. It's just like bizarre.
Yeah.
And if it happened with Roken, I'd be like, I still don't care. But
at least we had something where it's like, oh shit, like he
would have wanted to go out fighting the Empire or something.
Yeah.
Something. And he just doesn't do anything. He's just there.
He's like, hey, you made it back.
It's just so weird. It's just such a no-brainer change that they didn't make. And it's weird. Like, okay. Yeah. But anyway, fucking, so they're all super sad about Wade. And Tala is comforting the other pilot we don't care about this. And Leia, like, you know, grabs Obi-Wan's hand, and it's kind of sweet. But it's actually kind of nice. Like, they actually did let a scene breathe for like a minute.
Yeah.
Where they pull back on the camera, and on either side of the ship, there's these two kind of grieving people that are like, oh, we made it, but, you know, this was rough. Yeah. And it's very quiet, and it's like, thank you for that, for taking a breath. I needed that. But then, you know, it pans, it cuts to Leia's little ladybug bot, and it glows red like a tracker.
It's the bug robot from Spy Kids 2.
Yeah, we're bringing Robert Rodriguez back.
Yeah,
and like when Reva held the robot, you know, it wasn't enough. It just, you know, whatever. At least she held it. At least it's not a big mystery how she even got it.
Yeah, that like it. I mean, I'll let you.
Whatever. No, well, I'll go with it. That's the least of the fucking grievances that I have. So it's fine. She put the tracker on it, and that's
yeah. Its eye glows red, and it's like, ooh,
whoa,
yeah.
Roll credits.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say that both of us, this was one of the weaker episodes.
Definitely,
and like,
it's the weakest.
Yeah.
Do you notice that this episode actually had a name?
It did?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Filler.
Oh. Well, and it's like, it's such a shame because like I really like the Fortress Inquisitorius, and like I assuming that the thing with the Jedi and stasis or whatever is like new to this. That's like, I think, cool sort of world building. But like, I don't know, and like even just the like the whole like infiltrating a place that's like a very Star Warsy thing and like having to be like stealthy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that vibe. I just don't necessarily think the execution was as good as it could have been, you know?
I get what you're saying, and we've definitely seen it in a lot of Star Wars media, and it's kind of welcome there in the movies and the shows and stuff. But like, this is a limited series with like one of the fucking like the Star Wars community's like one of their favorite characters. I really fucking thought this show would be completely character driven, and this episode had no fucking character motive like growth at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think we mentioned that Obi-Wan is more confident now about like going to rescue Leia. That's about it. There's no interesting things that happen to their personalities or their characters. It's just things happening around them, and they have to react. They have to sneak into the base. They have to rescue people. They have to go get out. But it's none of it is fucking. I found none of it that interesting because it was just. It's I don't know, man. Like, you can do this in The Mandalorian when you got seasons long shit to do and you need to kill time.
And you have 8 spin-off
Right.
shows that are happening. Yeah.
But you're doing this in this like series you built up as limited, and this is like I don't care about watching Kenobi do this. I could watch Boba Fett do this. I could watch Mandalorian do this. I could watch anybody do this. What I wanted from Kenobi was like the acting we were getting in the first few episodes with Ewan McGregor and his like his internal conflict. You know, none of that's here. And it's really disappointing to me. Like, I didn't get to see nobody. There was no time where I was like, man, this acting is great.
Yeah.
That didn't happen once. It was just kind of like stupid storytelling, and I don't think the writing, like the dialogue of the show is pretty good where it counts, but the storytelling is not consistent and not great. It's fine, but with this episode, when that's all it has to lean on, it's just like it was rough for me. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's one thing I sort of want to, because like I was talking with one of our other friends on the phone recently, sort of like, without spoiling because he hasn't seen any of this show yet, but talking about like, I guess comparing this to like Book of Boba Fett, like where we were at a similar point in time, I was a lot lower on that show
Definitely
than I am right now. So it's like there is sort of like, I don't know, like there's been enough positives, I think, still, even with all the criticisms we have. Whereas like Book of Boba Fett, like I think even just at its core, like what that show was so far from what I guess was expecting, and part of that's probably on me because like you sort of set an expectation that they're never going to be able to live up to because it's fucking Boba Fett. You know, so I don't know.
I agree, but it's like I don't give a fuck about Boba Fett at the end of the day. You know, if his show sucks, I'm gonna go, damn, that's a shame. You could have done something cool with Boba Fett, but whatever.
Yeah.
He's still kind of an obscure character, but like this is a fucking show that you really needed to get right and focus on, and like for me, I don't know. I like it's Disney. They're making their money and people are going to watch it, and it's
going
to be popular, but
I was reading that this has done like really well.
I'm sure it
terms of, like
has.
viewership.
But they're doing it like every other fucking show they've done, which is disappointing to me. I thought they would go more into like characters and storytelling through dialogue and growth and things like I don't need these action set pieces. I really don't in this kind of show.
Yeah.
And that's not what I was expecting. That's not what I was hoping for. It's kind of like, you know, it's like a spin-off movie against a main episode. Like, I wouldn't say like, well, episode 7 was better than this spin-off movie, so that's good. I'd be like, well, it needs to be fucking like, they need to treat it better. Like, it needs to have better fucking people involved with it.
Yeah.
So this felt like your cookie cutter Disney show of Star Wars with Kenobi as the main feature. Yeah. This week has Obi-Wan. Wow.
So, sort of going forward, we've got 2 more episodes. We have not seen them. Like, we are recording this sort of like a week behind each new episode. Like, so we aren't 100% up to date necessarily, but like, where do you see the story going forward? We've got 2 episodes left. Just sort of like, where do you want to see it go, or like?
I see a definite flashback with the third sister, I think definitely we're gonna get a big chunk of her backstory in the next episode. I think episode 6 is gonna have another confrontation with Vader for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Obi-Wan's gonna either beat him or be in a situation where he could, but then chooses to protect Leia or something. I think that's how the series is kind of gonna end. He's gonna get him back to fucking Bail, and then be like, oh, now I'm confident in my ability to protect Luke.
Buy a house on Tatooine.
I feel better as a person. I definitely did think that they would spend this episode 4, prepping Obi-Wan for the rest of the show. Being like, we need to get you better, because you just got your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
So you need, you got to know that he's not going to stop coming for you. He definitely didn't do everything he wanted to do to you, so get good or die. Yeah. So I thought he would.
Well, and that episode sort of this episode sort of does that, where it's like he's in a situation where he has to step up, because it's like you're in a place where no one's gonna help you, because the fucking Underground Railroad people are like, no, fuck you, like we're not gonna do that. That's suicide.
But do you feel like after you watched him do this sneak in that he can go back up against Vader?
No, not yet. And that's the thing is, I don't know. I feel like we have another episode for him to grow more and sort of get back in tune with who he was in the Clone Wars.
And that's what I really want. That's exactly what I was saying. We're I want, because that's character growth.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens. And obviously we'll talk about that next week. But yeah,
this episode just felt completely fucking unnecessary. Why even have the third sister capture Leia at the end of episode 3? Yeah. Why couldn't she have gone away? Because at the end of the day,
she could have easily let them get thrown a tracker or something on them.
Exactly.
As they're
at the end of episode 3.
At the end of episode 3, yeah.
Even at the end of episode 2. So it's this whole episode felt so unnecessary just for them to plant a tracker on Leia, because he still saves her. There were no stakes. There was no cost for them to do this besides fucking Wade. Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
But it's just unnecessary, and it just felt like a waste. And this was such a short... I know we've been talking about this longer than some of our other ones, but, this episode was really short. It was 38 minutes.
Yeah.
The other ones have been, 48, around that time.
Yeah.
So it felt like even they knew they didn't have as much story here with this episode. They're just here's this generic one while we think about what to do with the other episodes. It's just, it's fucking weird, man. I'm super disappointed with this episode specifically. It just felt like a big, I don't know.
Yeah. Any sort of final thoughts before we wrap things up? Or
still haven't seen the Inquisitor's Apache helicopter around. Still haven't seen him flying.
No, I'm and
the Grand Inquisitor's not back yet.
Yeah, I think we are gonna see him, but later, probably in episode 6, they'll be no, he's back. And if anything, I think they'll there's gonna be something where it's Reva's final failure, and she's oh shit, either she'll have turned back to the light or be regretting her actions,
just Fallen Order.
Yeah, basically. And then instead of Vader killing her, it's gonna be the Grand Inquisitor fucking cutting her head off or something. I don't know.
This show is already leaning way too heavily on Fallen Order. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to do that. Wouldn't it have been? I just think it would have been more interesting. There's things you could have done where Grand Inquisitor comes back by episode 3, and is excommunicates Reva, and then Reva's being hunted by the Empire just like Obi-Wan, and is Obi-Wan, I need your help, and he's has to be a good Jedi with her or something. There's just interesting things you could do.
Yeah.
That's not this stupid fucking weekly pulp of...
But that's what Star Wars is. Sort of at
not
its
anymore.
core.
George Lucas sold it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story. I mean, it's just I don't know. I didn't want just another fucking swashbuckling with
I mean, we got 2 episodes. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for today's episode of the Boyos Discuss. If you enjoyed the podcast and you're listening on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 5 of Kenobi. Until next time.
See you around.